front of what's going to be a great crowd here tonight in Sioux Falls.
All right, our Vance Thompson Vision players to watch tonight. A couple of freshmen knew it. Isaac Johnson out of Minneapolis North High School for Western Illinois.
Oh, Isaac Johnson has had 2 great games against the Jackrabbits. He scored 19 the first time, 20 the second. But get this, he was only averaging 5 points a game in non-conference action, but has really picked it up since, and his last 4 averaging 21. He's got a wicked pull-up jumper, great in transition, and then can really make things go on the defensive end too.
For South Dakota State, it's going to be Mike Dahm, who is the player of the year in the Summer League once again.
Well, and no doubt, and South Dakota State's offense begins and ends with Mike Dahm. They're going to get the basketball in his hands. He is a matchup nightmare, and this is going to be a big key tonight for Western Illinois. How do they go out and guard Dahm on the perimeter? Do they put a small guy on him? If so, Dahm can take you down low too. Dahm's such a versatile player when it comes to scoring the basketball. Teams really do have to scheme on how they're going to try to slow him down.
All right, South Dakota State, the 2-time defending Summer League tournament champions, going for 3 in a row. Get it started tonight against Western Illinois. We tip it off from Sioux Falls right after this.
MLS is back, and everybody.
A group of forward-thinking people.
And welcome back in live, the Denny Sanford Premier Center in Sioux Falls. And the opening round of the Summer League Basketball Championships men's quarterfinal. And the top seed, South Dakota State, gets set to take on 8th seed Western Illinois in the opening round. Tom Neiman along with Brad Newitt. And we've talked about the seeds, and they maybe don't mean all that much. And for more on that, let's go courtside to Jody Norstead. Hi, Jody.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, it might seem like a mountain to climb here in 8 versus 1 matchup, but Western Illinois almost pulled that upset against South Dakota in the 1-8 matchup last year. Took them to overtime before eventually losing. Brandon Gilbeck says he still hasn't forgot about that. Gives them a little bit of confidence going into this one. But for South Dakota State, it also motivates them a little bit knowing what Western Illinois was able to do last year. Western Illinois, much different team than last year, a lot of freshmen, but keep in mind, they beat Oral Roberts, they beat Fort Wayne, they beat NDSU this year, they've beaten some good teams. We'll see what happens tonight.
All right, thank you, Jody. Tonight's starting lineup brought to you by South Dakota Corn and Kobe Webster. Honorable mention, all Summer League this year. He's on the all-newcomer team, a freshman out of Indianapolis, averaging 18 points a game in Summer League play. CJ Duff, Ankrum, along with Gilbeck and Isaac Johnson in that first 5. At South Dakota State, brought to you by South Dakota Corn and Tevin King. David Jenkins Jr., the freshman of the year this year in the Summer League, along with Skylar Flatten and Reed Telling using the seniors. Mike Dahm in his junior year. Billy Wright was an assistant at Western, went away for 1 year to Ball State, and he's back now as the head coach at Western Illinois. And TJ Otzelberger, the coach of the year in the Summer League this year in his 2nd season. South Dakota State in the white unis, Western Illinois in the road purples, and Mike Dahm, Brandon Gilbeck in the circle. And here we go with Western Illinois and Kobe Webster. Checked by Tevin King, Brandon Gilbeck in the post, guarded by Mike Dahm.
Western Illinois got scoring punch at several positions on the floor, and Webster's the ringleader for all of that with the point guard.
Loader good. Again, 18 a game in Summer League play for Kobe Webster, highest scoring freshman. David Jenkins Jr. for South Dakota State right behind him. Here's Jenkins to Dahm. Skylar Flatten coming off that little screen. Blocked by Ankrum, and it's out of bounds off of South Dakota State.
Valen Ankrum is an athletic defender, and even though Ankrum got beat on this handoff, he did not give up on the play, made a great play from behind, and then the ball goes off Flatten.
2 really good 6'6" athletes going at it in that matchup with Flatten and Ankrum. Kobe Webster looking inside. Here's Isaac Johnson, who's really come on in the 2nd half of the season. Gilbeck, 7-footer, out of a double team, and he gets around Dahm to score.
Tellinghusen came over to double, and then Gilbeck split him, and South Dakota State cannot allow that to happen if they're going to bring the double team. Great start early on here for the Leathernecks.
Tellinghusen, double on him, tried to get it to Tevin King. Leathernecks come away with it, saved there by Johnson.
A rare turnover by South Dakota State, but I think that double team caught Tellinghusen off guard.
Kobe Webster's 3 is long, and Mike Dahm comes away with the rebound, knocks down Tellinghusen. Dakota State third possession, trying to get on the board.
Matchups on this end are intriguing. And in this game right now, Gilbeck checking Dom. That's Western Illinois' post player, and that's not how Western matched up the last time these teams played.
David Jenkins Jr. long and strong. Dom kind of leaning in there on C.J. Duff. Holding off Duff with the right hand and going on the tip with the left hand, and they called a foul on Duff.
Gilbeck's got switched off of Dom, and now Duff trying to block Dom out. Dom recognized that and went right to the rim. And C.J. Duff at 6'1" didn't have much hope against 6'9". And that's the risk you run when you're Billy Wright, and you are going to probably try to switch some screens to take away a lot of the action that South Dakota State runs on the perimeter. And SDSU is such a great shooting team. I think Western's going to have to switch some stuff. But now you got mismatches, not necessarily always in the post, but on the boards too.
Dom got 1 out of 2. Skylar Flatten had it and threw it right into the hands of Duff.
This is going to be a good matchup up top too. Tevin King, a great defender. See if he can slow down the sensational freshman Webster.
Jacks doubling every time. Gilbeck gets a touch on it and force him into a travel this time.
Western Illinois not afraid to play through Gilbeck. They like to get him touches and then play off of him. They've done that on the first couple possessions here.
King gets down in the post against Webster, and goaltending called on the block by Gilbeck. Counted for Tevin King. Gilbeck led the league in block shots this year.
That was a close one. Was it on its way down? The official said it was. Boy, that's a tough one to judge. And Gilbeck, the best shot blocker in the Summit League, and that's where he's dangerous, when he can come from the backside. Dom and Gilbeck inside, really going at each other. So far, Dom's been content to play behind, and Western Illinois has been getting Gilbeck touches.
Gilbeck went by him the first time, turns for the quick jump hook. He's got 4 quick points. Jenkins Jr. for 3. True freshman out of Tacoma, Washington. And he has been the scoring support in most cases for Mike Dom this year, averaging 17 points a game.
That's a big reason why SDSU is such a good scoring team.
Gilbeck, great pass out of the double team, got it to Johnson, and he was fouled. Tevin King with the foul for South Dakota State.
SDSU's kind of mixing up if they double or not double. That time they brought it again, and so far, Brandon Gilbeck's really handled the ball well in the post, whether he's had one-on-one matchups scoring, or when the double team has come like that, finding a wide-open teammate.
Just the 2 for Johnson. You got the 3 best freshmen in the league playing in this ballgame. 2 of them for Western and 1 for South Dakota State.
Yeah, there's no question. And it's always exciting when you see freshman talent coming in that can score the basketball like those 3 can.
Dom on a miss on a 3, 1 and out. And here's one of those fine freshmen, Kobe Webster, he along with Isaac Johnson for Western Illinois.
And when Western Illinois doesn't have transition, they're going to do this. They're going to be very methodical on this end.
That is where Johnson is really good. 17-foot jumper straight away, 4 points for Johnson.
On this end, Western Illinois has done a pretty good job contesting shots. Nice job there.
Blocked by Gilbeck, gave him a couple of moves. Gilbeck straight up. His way to Isaac Johnson.
So far, the matchup has been in Western's favor. Gilbeck on Dom.
Another good look for Isaac Johnson. Jenkins going against C.J. Duff. Tevin King as Western Illinois switches it up here into the corner to Flatten for 3, and down into the hands of Kobe Webster.
SDSU 1 of 4 to start this game from 3. Team that really relies on the 3-point shot for their offense.
South Dakota State made more threes in summer league play than anybody else this year. Jacks did not go to the double that time on Gilbeck. C.J. Duff for three. Isaac Johnson will run it down. Back to Duff. Dom with the block and into the hands of Telling-Husen.
Dom saved the day there because SDSU was not sharp on the rebounding. Right now, to me, SDSU is starting to play maybe a little bit more like the nervous team here, being the 1 seed. They haven't gotten into a typical flow for them offensively yet.
Jenkins Jr. blocked again by Ankrum, and it comes away to Gilbeck.
Already Western Illinois 3 blocks in this game. They are defending the rim.
Ankrum's had 2 of those.
Down here just controlling pace. The lower the possessions can be in this game, the more that favors the lower seed.
Missed by Duff, but tapped in by Gilbeck. 6 quick points for the 7-footer for Western Illinois, and a 6-point lead. And South Dakota State stuck on that 6 number right now.
Brandon Gilbeck, he really struggled the last game that these guys played in Brookings. He only had 4 points, played 16 minutes.
Telling-Husen it free to get South Dakota off the 6. And kid in his senior year hits a lot of timely shots, does a lot of all the little things for the Jackrabbits.
This team really needed a bucket there, and he came through. Gilbeck here has been terrific to start this game.
Telling-Husen just kind of digging on the double that time, and they get the miss. King put it on the money to Mike Dom. Good catch. Gilbeck with the block, but the foul. And Mike Dom going to the free throw line. But Western Illinois, the 8 seed, out to the early lead. Leathernecks up 12-9. Tonight's keys to the game brought to you by BillionAuto.com.
For Western Illinois, it's got to be shot selection. They need to take good ones. They've gotten off to a great start in this game, Tom. They're shooting 50%. That's got to continue. Can South Dakota State play free and loose? When they do, they're really a great offensive team. I think they played a little tight early on here. We'll see after this first media timeout if that improves. The deciding factor, though, can be the three-point line. Even though SDSU hasn't played well in this game by my standards and how I would judge them, they're right there because they've hit 2 threes, and the Jacks, the best three-point shooting team in the Summit League. They can really erase some errors and kind of mask over some things by how well they can knock in the long ball.
Right, that last foul on Gilbeck. Dom gets them both. He will come out now as Tyson comes in. Jacks go to the bench. Let's go to Jody Norstedt.
Guys, it's the matchup within the matchup. The Defensive Player of the Year in the Summit League versus the MVP, Mike Dom, Brandon Gilbeck. And a little bit of history on this. Mike Dom was held to 11 points this season, his lowest total in Summit League play in the first meeting with Western. He was held to 8 points in a loss last year at Western Illinois, his lowest point total of the season last year. So Gilbeck has done a pretty good job on him. Gilbeck did not guard him much in that second meeting this year, but he's up for the challenge. He said he loves going against an NBA-type prospect. It's difficult because Dom likes to pull you out on the perimeter, but he's up for the challenge. I asked him, do you guys talk much out on the floor? He said, no.
Yeah, he has been up to the challenge so far. To the rebound for Gilbeck. Threw that bucket in at the other end. He's got 8 points. So Dom on the bench now. Brandon Key, Ian Tyson, and Lane Severin in off the South Dakota State bench. Western Illinois still with its first 5 out there. Dalen Ankrum going to the hoop, and he was fouled by Severin.
Ankrum is an explosive player that has 6'6" size. That's a tough call to go against Severin. Because to me, looking at that angle, Ankrum created all that contact, really initiated it. That's what a good offensive player will do, though, to get themselves to the line. Ankrum's been terrific from the free throw line in Summit League play, almost 90%. So when he can get here, that's a big part of him scoring 12 a game. Interesting that Western Illinois has not gone to their bench yet. Kind of used that last media timeout to get a break. That was a long stretch there before that. Felt like the Leathernecks were getting tired.
Jenkins Jr. on the miss. Kobe Webster with the grab. And he will go against Brandon Key now. Key can be pesky defensively for the Jackrabbits. All the way by Webster. Soft, but taken down by Ian Tyson.
Key can do this. He can really get the tempo of the game going up offensively for SDSU. I'll tell you, it'll be tough tonight for South Dakota State to get a lot of transition. And here's why. Western Illinois doesn't really crash field glass. They are dead last in the Summit League when it comes to offensive rebounding. Their philosophy is, let's get back and protect our basket. They're one of the best teams doing that.
Gilbeck goes out for the first time. Charles Gavin on at the big man spot for Western Illinois. Jenkins had it taken away by Ankrum.
SDSU, a team that only turns it over about 8 times a game. Already 3 of them in this one. Credit Western Illinois. They've been scrappy, really been doing a good job helping.
Johnson, a little shove off. Couldn't get the 15-footer, though. Rebounded Tellinghusen. Deep 3 by Reed. Tellinghusen is second early on, and they both kind of got South Dakota State out of a little funk. Jack's back within 2.
Brandon Gilbeck has been a force inside. The Leathernecks playing through their big fella. And he's getting it done, and that's why they've got a 2-point lead here on the #1 seed, South Dakota State.
Basketball tournament on Midcoast Sports Network is presented by Grand Falls Casino and Golf Resort, Vance Thompson Vision, Vern Eide Motor Cars, and Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
The Summit at the Falls, 10th year anniversary of the Summit League Basketball Championships here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And the opening round in men's play here tonight. South Dakota State, the 1 seed, down early to the 8 seed Western Illinois. Jalen Ankrum trying to turn the corner against Lane Severin. And down to the Jackrabbits. Tevin King, Mike Dahm back for South Dakota State. Dahm going against Charles Gavin, who's in there for Brandon Gilbeck right now. Out to Tevin King, long and strong on the 3. Kobe Webster's got it. D'Lo Brewster is in off the bench for Western Illinois.
I like how Western's attacking this game because they've done a good job defensively, just being solid and then controlling the tempo on this end.
Webster's 3 rattles out. South Dakota State, meanwhile, just 4 of 13 from the field shooting.
I don't think they've had the pace that they want on this end. They've kind of had a lot of standing. There was a good set there where they kind of got guys moving. And Dahm is so difficult to handle when he can catch the basketball kind of on the move and then kind of do this sweeping move where he comes across the lane. Nearly impossible to stop with his size.
6'9", and he's not the most graceful guy, but he can make plays like that look routine.
And I think a lot of it's just his phenomenal touch he has with the basketball. Yes. I mean, and you just don't see 6'9" guys that have that kind of touch around the rim.
6 points for Dahm. The fan cam brought to you by Avera Orthopedics and the upper deck getting filled in here this evening. Jackrabbit fans filling in the lower bowl. South Dakota plays after this game. The men will take on Omaha, and an offensive foul here called against D'Lo Brewster on the push-off on Brandon Key.
That's what Brandon Key does, like you said earlier. I mean, he's kind of a pest defensively, really will pressure the basketball 94 feet when he can.
Lane Severin popping out for 3.
Too much juice on that one. SDSU has not shot it well, and that's why this is a tight game right now. The Jacks only 33%.
Brewster's left-handed 3 is right on. D'Lo Brewster out of Kansas City, Missouri.
Don't see SDSU have those kind of breakdowns defensively very often. They're pretty solid. Usually they're right there on the catch. That time they weren't. Brewster made them pay.
Leathernecks back in the leads. We hit the halfway point of the first half.
Watch Mike Dahm and how active he can be on this in screening. And that's part of the reason, too, why he gets open a lot.
Brandon Key crashing in and ran into a couple of Leathernecks. The foul is going to be on Brewster. Well, you see a lot of defenders now do it. Just they'll throw their hands up, and that is wise. I mean, it's coached because supposedly in the last couple of years, officials are looking more at letting the defense get away with a little more contact if their hands up. If
their hands are up, exactly. And you established your position as a legal defender.
Tevin King scrapping after it along with C.J. Duff, and they get Duff for the foul as both players were going after.
Yeah, this is where Tevin King comes up with a couple of these a game. I mean, he's just relentless. And South Dakota State kind of gives him free reign, even though he's their point guard a lot, to go after the O glass.
Dom gets Gavin almost into the air, and then he runs into Ankrum. And a foul's going to go on Dom at the end of the play. There's 3 blocks now for Dalen Ankrum.
Yeah, Ankrum has been an animal on this end, really pursuing the basketball. Being a great secondary help defender, that time just swatted away from the player of the league and player of the year in the Summit League.
Charles Gavin came in, a couple of good minutes. He goes out. Brandon Gilbeck back in for Western Illinois. So is Isaac Johnson. Jalen Morgan checks in as well, another big man for Western.
First 11 minutes of this game have gone exactly how Western wants them to. Low possessions. They've been good on this end here defensively. Nice help there by Johnson.
Dom. First 3 of the night for Mike Dom. His shooting percentages are phenomenal. 89% at the free throw line, 43% at the three-point line. South Dakota State back in the lead, and now the Jackrabbit crowd trying to get into it.
Yeah, really for the first time tonight, this partisan crowd gets going.
Hard double this time on Gilbeck.
That was a nice job that time by telling you to give Gilbeck a lot of credit, because he didn't panic, stayed the course, the double team left, and he scored. Gilbeck has just played phenomenal here in this first half.
10 points for Gilbeck. Telling Husens hit a couple of threes. At this time, Jalen Morgan with the rebound.
SDSU, a team that doesn't crash the glass a lot either. They haven't really had a lot of second chance opportunities in a game where they've now missed 13 shots.
Jackrabbits led the Summer League in scoring this year, 85 points a game. Way off of that pace at the moment. Webster with the shot, and this time Gilbeck is going to pick up his second foul.
Well, points in the paint have been a big reason why Western Illinois is doing well in this game. Their big man, Gilbeck, really doing well inside, Tom, but he just picked up his second foul. Will the complexion of this game change? We'll find out.
Injury report brought to you by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Jeremiah Usio Safety for Western Illinois has been out since early January. This will be his 13th game out now with a hip injury. Just a sophomore and another one of those mid-range athletic guys that Billy Wright could be using. Well, Brandon Gilbeck did pick up his second foul right before the break. He stays out there.
We're wondering, would Billy Wright kind of roll the dice here? I mean, you're in a big-time game here, and look at Mike Dom going right at him.
And to spin it in for Mike Dom.
Great presence of mind for South Dakota State to go right at Gilbeck, knowing that he for sure doesn't want to pick up his third.
Dom's got 11. Lead keeps going back and forth. Ankrum on the attack, fouled by Skylar Flatten. Just the 4th team foul on the Jackrabbits. Shot clock goes back to 20 after that.
Let's see if Western Illinois, though, can continue to get the ball inside right here to Gilbeck. Let him go to work.
Jump hook again. A dozen for Gilbeck.
The big thing, Thomas, he has hit 6 of 7 shots in this game to get that. Amazing efficiency for Gilbeck inside.
David Jenkins Jr. off. Isaac Johnson.
Right now you look at this game, SDSU's taken 21 shots, 12 of them have been threes. On average, about 40% of their shots usually come from three, so a higher percentage in this game because that's what the Leathernecks have been giving them.
Ankrum. Sweet little spin to get again by Flatten. Dalem Ankram's got 4. Dom came off soft but short. Kobe Webster with the rebound, and Western Illinois with the lead here, and Webster's only got 2. He is their leading scorer at 18 a game.
Well, they haven't needed Webster because they've been able to play through the post.
Webster falling away. Dom with the block out on Gilbeck.
Well, let's see if SDSU can get the basketball moving a little bit. They've taken a lot of shots in this first half off of 1 or 2 passes. Like we were talking about earlier, taking a lot of three-pointers.
Western Illinois really making them work in the half court. Jenkins step in 2. Dom on the putback. And he's got 13.
Brandon Gilbeck getting drawn away from the basket due to matchups. And every time that's happened, then Dom's been able to clean up glass.
Gilbeck, again, got to be careful on that high screen. Ankrum, he did take a little hop when he got the basketball and they get the travel.
There was just a small crease he was trying to get through as he curled that screen, and there just wasn't enough real estate for him to get the feet down.
Charles Gavin will check back in. Gilbeck goes out for Western.
What a first half, though, Gilbeck's had. He's got 12 points. Does have those 2 fouls, like we mentioned, though.
He and Tyson in for the Jacks to replace Mike Dom. Telling you, a good, strong move, but Isaac Johnson holds him off. Johnson with a rebound. Leathernecks hanging on to the lead as we go into 5 minutes.
Well, they've really reduced possessions in this game because of how much patience they've had on this end and in no hurry to bring the ball up the floor. And there's another moving screen. Really watch that on the ball screen on the perimeter. This time Jalen Morgan, the guilty culprit. But Western Illinois has just got to be ecstatic at how this end's gone. This is a Leatherneck team that has really struggled at times to string together stops, but in this game tonight, holding SDSU to just 8 field goals so far has been tremendous.
Western giving up close to 80 a game in summer league play. South Dakota State scored 98 the first time they played this year. Scored 82 a couple of weeks ago in Brookings, but still stuck on 24 with 4 minutes to play.
We've seen a couple of games like this for SDSU during the year, but not very many where they have had this much trouble scoring points. This is a team that can really light up the scoreboard.
Missed by Ankrum, and that's fortunate for South Dakota State that Western Illinois has missed some shots as well. Tevin King slides through for 2 more, and South Dakota State back in the lead.
And really the first transition bucket there that the Jackrabbits have gotten in this game. Western Illinois has been able to take this crowd out of the game really the whole half.
Yes, in the 2 regular season matchups, South Dakota State had a 14-point lead at halftime in one of them, a 16-point lead at halftime in the other, and went on to win big, but it's not going to be near that. In this one, Tellinghausen stripped away. Good hands again. Johnson sneaking out, and Tevin King was there. He tried to avoid contact, but he got the foul anyway. Johnson will be at the free throw line.
Mike Dom in this game has 13 points. He's trying to keep his team in it, but it's been tough sledding for the Jackrabbits on the offensive end, and they only have a 1-point lead.
Have to go on the this first half of our first men's quarterfinal game. South Dakota State leading Western Illinois 26-25. Coming up at halftime, we'll have an interview with Brian Miller of the Sioux Falls Sports Authority. We'll have stats and highlights, and also we'll take a look at our shot charts. But Brian, Western Illinois right in this game with the top-seeded South Dakota State, but they've been stuck on 25 points for the last 3-11, and you think it's because of their shot selection?
Shot selection has not been good. When they worked inside out with Brandon Gilbeck, got some good looks, but Dalen Ankrum right now, along with Kobe Webster, just 2 of 9. Without Gilbeck's 12, Western Illinois would be in trouble. But this is the type of game it has to be for the Leathernecks to hang around.
All right, well, we'll send it back down to Tom and Brad.
All right, thank you, guys. And yeah, conversely for South Dakota State, if it were not for Mike Dom, the Jacks would be in big trouble. Dom's got 13 of the 26 for South Dakota State.
He's made almost half of the field goals for SDSU. The South Dakota State team, like we said, leads the Summit League in scoring. Top 10 in the country in scoring, nearly 85 points a game in Summit League play. Right now they're on pace for mid-60s.
Isaac Johnson puts Western Illinois back in the lead. South Dakota State's got its big man starter back out there. Dom Jenkins kicks to Dom for 3, and that's off the back iron, knocked out by David Jenkins, and Western Illinois will have it with a 1-point lead.
Western Illinois is doing a great job just playing team defense. They're really helping each other out, covering for each other when guys get caught on screens. And as a result, SDSU just hasn't had a lot of really clean looks at the basket. Forcing SDSU on this end, Tom, to have to guard for 15, 20, sometimes even 25 seconds of this shot clock.
25 here, and Ankrum couldn't pay it off, though. Keeps speeding it up. Dom for another 3. He's got 16, and the Jacks back in front.
That's where Brandon Key can help SDSU because of the speed there. That gave Dom that wide open trail three-pointer.
Brandon Gilbeck on the bench right now.
Western has struggled to have any sort of consistency offensively without him in the game.
Kobe Webster kind of weaving his way through. Another rebound.
Webster 1 for 6, excuse me.
Dom's got 11 rebounds already as well.
Yeah.
Now make it 10, 16 and 10 here in the first half for Dom. Up over Gavin. And Jalen Morgan comes away with it.
There's been plenty of defensive glass for both of these teams in this game. Just of all the missed shots. SDSU's missed 20 shots and Western Illinois has missed 16 of them, so defense has been had the upper hand here.
That is called a 2 for Dalen Ankrum. Ties it at 29, and they may take a peek at that shot just to make sure. It was called a 2, tied at 29 for the minute. Seal Pros Incorporated, and the road to the championships from Macomb, Illinois. Almost 500 miles on that trek for the Leathernecks. And again, they won 3 league games at home this year. They beat Fort Wayne, beat Oral Roberts, beat North Dakota State. At home, 3-11 in Summit League play. One of those wins here against the Bison, and Isaac Johnson has come on here in the second half of the season at Western. Tied up here late in the first half against South Dakota State. Jacks fans a little on edge on the Avera Orthopedics fan cam. Kind of flashbacks to 2 seasons ago, do it, when South Dakota State had 2 nail biters against Oral Roberts and Denver in the Summit League tournament.
That was a year, though, where the Summit League had a lot more parity and balance top to bottom. You know, you looked at this year, and SDSU and USD ran away with the top 2 spots. But, again, that doesn't mean that this is going to be an easy game for SDSU tonight by any stretch. And we've seen that play out here now in this first half. And Western Illinois has come to this game ready to compete and ready to defend, and they've done a great job of that here in the first half.
Mike Dom's got 16, but David Jenkins Jr. with just one hoop. Telehusing's hit a couple of threes. South Dakota State is maybe going to be held under 30 here in the first half. Isaac Johnson lining up a go-ahead three, and it is good, and a foul on Jenkins Jr.
Just a mental mistake here by the freshman Jenkins as he closed out across the body that time of Johnson, who's not a great three-point shooter, but capable. And this could be a huge momentum lift here for Western Illinois as they look poised to maybe go into the locker room now with a lead.
Got an offensive rebound, got a three to take a three-point lead. Brandon Key, gonna get that. Dom with an extra chance, but Western Illinois is going to go into the locker room with a three-point lead, and maybe most surprisingly, they hold South Dakota State to 29 first-half points.
Well, the Jacks didn't score in the last 2 minutes. Not a lot of good offensive rhythm at all for SDSU. In that first half, the ball wasn't moving like it usually does.
All right, let's go to Jody Norstead.
Coach, offensively, you struggled a little bit there in the first half. How do you get better shots for your guys?
Yeah, I think they're switching a lot of screens. We're impatient offensively, settling for just a lot of jump shots. We got to do a better job getting the ball in the paint, playing off those touches.
You've thrown a few different things at Brandon Gilbeck, a couple double teams. He still has 12 points. How do you slow him down in the second half?
He's been effective. I mean, he's big and strong, so we'll keep mixing up our coverages there. Hopefully make him have to guess what's coming at him and see what we can do.
All right, thanks, TJ. Good luck in the second half. TJ Otzelberger.
All right, thank you, guys. Brandon Gilbeck with a dozen to lead Western Illinois. Mike Dom's got 16 for South Dakota State with the 8th seed in the lead at the half. When we come back upstairs to Kelly and Brian.
Welcome to the CU Mortgage.
Not again. I didn't know you guys were watching last night.
See, coaches, there's one first-time head coach in this group, David Padgett. When some assistants, most assistants get a head coaching job, it happens in April. You got yours in October. How would you assess the challenges of getting your team ready for the season in the preseason?
I don't know if we have enough time to talk about the challenges we face, but, you know, the good news about the team I inherited, we have a very good mix of older players who've played college basketball, seniors, juniors, even a sophomore in VJ King, and we have a very talented freshman class. Obviously, they're freshmen. There's a lot they need to learn and go through, and there's no easy way to get freshman experience except to let them go through it. But our older guys have been tremendous in trying to help the younger guys and get ready for the season. So just each practice, we're just trying to get better than we were the day before.
You had a little more lead time when you stepped over from an assistant to replacing John Calipari there at Memphis. What advice would you give him stepping in, although the time frame is a little bit different?
No, David's going to do a great job, and he's a basketball guy, and his dad was a really good coach as well too, and so he's going to do great. And you know, they're good. Their team's really good, and you know, following with Coach Pitino, and when I took over at Memphis following Coach Calipari, it's just they're hard to do because the success that you're following in both guys. So you just do the best you can.
It was a primary head coaching job there at Memphis. You're just getting started. Mike, reflect on what it was. You're at the pinnacle now, the coaching in the ACC. Reflect to your first head coaching job when you slid into that chair and had that ownership. Maybe an overwhelming feeling. What was that like?
I think it was. I remember my first year at the University of Delaware in 1995. I wasn't very trusting of delegating. I tried to do everything and a little too much. I've learned to delegate more. But I think the biggest thing is you try to be yourself. You've worked for a guy. You've been with a head coach. I think to develop your own identity and be yourself, as soon as you can get confident doing that's going to be helpful.
Jim? What was that like?
My first head coaching job was at a Division II school called American International College in Springfield, Massachusetts. And recruiting there was very, very difficult. But we spotted a young man I thought could really turn our program around. His name is Rick Carlisle. And we tried to recruit Rick Carlisle to a Division II school. 2 years later, I was the assistant at Virginia, and Rick called me. He was playing at the University of Maine, and he transferred to Virginia, helped us get to the Final Four, now has been in the NBA since 1984. So when you're looking at players and trying to build a program, you got to find good players. Rick was a good player. We just couldn't get him to AIC.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where you are. You might be someplace soon that you can actually get him. Buzz, your first head coaching job, what was that like?
I remember it vividly. Very honored, grateful, bigger than any dream I'd ever had. Was very thankful that the University of New Orleans would hire me, and have felt that way every day over the last 11 years.
Brad?
Yeah, I was very blessed. I took over at UNC Wilmington, having been an assistant there for 8 years under a very good coach in Jerry Wainwright. So the program was in a great situation. We had good players coming back, a good foundation. We'd been to the tournament. And so really the ease of transition for me was much easier than most, in that I already knew the league, I knew the university, and Coach Wainwright had given me a ton of responsibility. So that really gave me a lot of confidence.
You mentioned getting to the NCAA tournament, and when you're at maybe a lower level or a mid-major school, it's getting to the tournament's a great accomplishment. When you're in the ACC, it's not just getting to the tournament, it's making a run. You could have a great year, maybe even win a championship in the league, but you don't get to the second weekend, and it's almost forgettable in some fans' eyes. How do you guys self-assess when it comes to success relative to the NCAA tournament, whether it's getting there or advancing deep?
Well, for me, I mean, I've tried to be better just about your own personal success and what you define it as. I think when my time at Memphis, I was really unhealthy mentally, and just because I lived and died by every single game, and so when I came to Georgia Tech, I tried to have a better perspective on things, and it's a work in progress. It's hard to get to the tournament. I mean, I thought we had a good year last year, and we finished 11th place in this league. And I mean, and we had 8 wins in the league. I don't know if we'll ever get 8 wins again in this league. I mean, it's hard to do. And so, you know, if you just do the best you can, I've tried to be better about that and focusing on just doing the best you can and let the chips fall where they fall.
Now, as a player, obviously, you want to get as deep as you can. What about as a coach? He said when he started out, he didn't have a healthy perspective. You're just starting out. What's your perspective?
Well, I think at Louisville, it's just been long established that getting to the tournament per se isn't enough. I think making a deep run has come to be expected over the last 15, 16 years, and obviously we've had a lot of success. Now, I'm not going to put any pressure on myself or on my team to say, hey, we have to get to the Elite Eight or we have to get to the Final Four, because that's just not realistic. You know, everything we've been going through, me as a first-time head coach, that wouldn't be fair to anybody. So we're just trying to have as good of a season as we can have, win as many games as we can have, kind of just break up into 3 segments. You got non-conference, you've got conference, and then postseason. So just take it one segment at a time.
How does that change as you get deeper into your career? Because when we refer to you guys, it's how many Final Fours does he have? How many national championships?
Well, that dynamic happened a little bit this year for us. The 2 previous years we've been to the Elite Eight. We get knocked out in the second round by a very good West Virginia team, but we finished in the top 4 of the regular season and got to the championship game of the ACC tournament. And so I was trying to tell our guys that, you know, we had a pretty good run, and even it was even harder trying to explain that to my fans, but maybe they finally got it at the end of the day.
What about you made a deep run with George Mason, now here at Miami?
Yeah, 20 years ago, I had an incredible opportunity to talk to the great John Wooden, who won 10 national championships. And he talked about one thing that you had to have to be successful as a coach. And he said you have to have balance. You have to have the understanding of what your expectations are, maybe very different than what anybody else is. And you just have to have that balance in your life, balance with your team, so that you're enjoying the journey. Not so much talking about, did you make the Final Four? So, and that's the way we've tried to approach it. We just want to be the best we can be every season we're competing.
Last thing, Buzz, it's validation though, right? I mean, NCAA tournament, that's a thing you can sink your teeth into.
I think it just depends on what validation and who you're wanting the validation from. Not trying to be holier than thou. I like playing in the NCAA tournament because that means I have an extended period of time with our players each day. And so whether we win, whether we get there, I think that's for other people to judge. I think my responsibility as a leader is to help them grow to be the best people they can be, and if that means we play a couple extra games, maybe that time period helps them even more.
And Brad, you've had a taste of it there, Clement.
Yeah, we haven't been in a while, and certainly something that we want to get back to. We talk a lot about, playing in March with a chance to advance. That's kind of a phrase we use to kind of keep our momentum going, and I think it's something that you put the NCAA tournament out there. It's not as easy at some programs. It's more of a challenge, and
certainly you analyze each team and just try to get better working on that with that thought in mind for us.
Okay. Good perspective, guys. We'll wrap it up when we return. These guys have left quite a mark on their teams. What about the digital footprint, social media? Get into that for a few minutes, guys.
All right, let's start with your health.
Yeah.
You know, you're 70, and
Yeah.
a lot of people want to ask how much longer
Yeah.
do you want to go?
Do you want to ask that?
Yeah, I'm going to ask that. I'm going to ask you, how much longer do you want to go?
Yeah, I didn't get my knee replaced to retire. Let's put it that way. So I'm 70 years old. I think I'm definitely younger at heart. I have the knowledge, though, of a 70-year-old who's coached for 42 years and has coached 11 years with the U.S. team. And I think that's a good combination, especially at a great school. I want to make a difference. I'm enthusiastic. Come on, Kyle, I got you.
Grayson Allen, when describing you, called you a friend.
Yeah.
Which is interesting for a 21-year-old to call a 70-year-old a friend.
Right.
How do you think you've been able to connect with players these days and change and be able to adapt?
Well, I think it's up to the teacher to adapt so that his or her teachings are accepted easier by their pupils. I've had to adapt a lot. Not values, work ethic, and all that, but how you communicate, how you dress, what jokes you tell, do you stay current?
Grayson Allen is a really good basketball player. He also appears to be a dirty basketball player.
Well, his reputation for this precedes him.
What gives you confidence that Grayson, if you have confidence, that Grayson has kind of gotten past the issues, the tripping issues?
Well, you know, look, is it more tripping issues or what everyone made of a couple issues? I want Grayson to be Grayson. Grayson's, I think, as good a player as there is in the country. And I want him to be a leader, and I want him to not have a rear-view mirror.
How much did you worry about him last year, though, because of all the public outcry and the attention that he got? How much were you worried that he'd be able to handle it all?
You would have thought that there was a capital offense that had occurred. That's the attention, I think, that our program brings, the scrutiny, and you have to learn to live under that microscope. But he has had an opportunity to be in incredible situations where you don't play at the beginning of your freshman year. You are the hero of the national championship game. You're an All-American as a sophomore and you have an incident, and then that's unbelievably publicized. And then you have another situation, and then you're hurt the whole year. Holy mackerel. He's lived a lifetime in those 3 years, and I think it'll all end up really, really good.
How good can this team be? I mean, you have talent, you've got bigs. They're very different than a lot of your previous teams.
Yeah, our team is going to be very much a developing team. We have 3 guys in Marvin Bagley, Wendell Carter, and Marquise Bolden who are going to be pro players, maybe all 3 of them at the end of this year. We don't have the perimeter depth that we, like the last few years, but we have more big guys. And so we have to adjust what we do, and which we do every year.
Has your outlook of recruiting one that's changed? People think it has.
No. Everyone talks about us changing our recruiting philosophy. That's not the case. It's just that Grant Hill was in the mid-'90s or early '90s. If Grant Hill was today, he'd go too. But we would have still recruited Grant Hill. Leitner and Battier, and that's when it started for us with Elton Brand, but he was even here 2 years. I have not changed. The landscape has changed where it would be the best decision for them to go, and then I'm okay with that.
MLS is back, and everybody's ready to get down. Emerald City goes rave green against the all-new LAFC. SKC Nation is set to go off when the Bronx Blues bring it on. Will the City of Angels shine, or does Rose City got next? It's time for our soccer. Tomorrow, on ESPN and FS1.
The farthest reach of the course, but the enduring center of its drama, and the indelible swirl of its challenge. 3 holes, where moments are counted in more than strokes, and the memories surround us like the wind. 3 holes, where fortune turns and history lives. Amen Corner, and for all who enter, say a prayer at the Masters.
Not again. I didn't know you guys were watching last night. Thank you guys. It means a lot. Thank you.
What are you talking about, Steph?
I had that 27-10 last night, and today, chicken curry. 54 points last week, and the next day, curry stew.
Yeah, but Steph, I don't think
Thank you guys so much. Thank you. It means a lot. I lace them up every night for guys like you.
Who was that guy? I don't know. Seems like the chicken, though.
Summer League celebrating 10 years now with the championships here in the city of Sioux Falls. Western Illinois with the lead at the half on South Dakota State. Jackrabbits with the ball here to start the second 20 minutes. Into Reed, Telling-Husen. Tevin King on the rebound and the putback.
Tevin King just too physical, and when they let him go after the O glass, the freshman Webster could not keep him off.
Here is Dalen Ankrum. 3 block shots, 6 points in that first half. Rising up again, Ankrum good again.
Ankrum's had some success getting free off the curl screens and the ball screen action. Let's see if SDSU looks to attack more inside here.
Dom going right at Gilbeck, rolls off. Isaac Johnson with the rebound. Johnson, 9 points, 6 rebounds in that first half. Brandon Gilbeck led Western Illinois with 12. Ankrum gets by Skylar Flatten again, spins it in.
That's a matchup that Ankrum has been winning most of this game. When Ankram's dialed in and really playing well, Western, that's when they've had their most success this year.
Tom left it short. Gilbeck with the rebound. Gilbeck starts the half, had 2 fouls in that first half. Jacks went right at him, but Dom 0 for 2 to start. Back to Dalen Ankrum, going to work again. Reed Telling-Husen on the reach in. Ankrum going down, trying to pick it up. He was on the end line and out of bounds, and South Dakota State will get it.
Credit South Dakota State that time. They brought some help defense. They knew Ankrum, he scored the last 2. He was intent on trying to score another one.
Tevin King this time going right at Kobe Webster. Missed it, got it back, got quadruple teamed out to Skylar Flatten for 3, and that is the first points of the night for Flatten. And again, Mike Dom had 16 in that first half. Did not get really any help from anybody else. No.
Yeah, it was a lot of cold shooting for SDSU in the first half. Guys like Flatten, Jenkins Jr. never got it rolling at all.
Kobe Webster just 2 points in that first half. Right down to Gilbeck, throws another jump hook, and he has been money tonight. He's only missed 1 shot, 14 points for Gilbeck.
Great job getting him the basketball from the top of the key, and the help defense can't come quick enough.
Flatten from the other side. Skips out, Mike Dom knocked it out. Western Illinois will have it, hanging on to a 4-point lead early on second half. Pretty quiet in the building right now, with lots of South Dakota State fans in here.
Yeah, you can tell just maybe some more nervous energy than anything else from this crowd. They're just stunned, I think, at how much South Dakota State has struggled to score the basketball in this game.
Western Illinois led for more than 15 minutes in that first half. Reed Telling-Husen over on the double team and a foul. On a reach in, will go against Telling-Husen.
When the post entry comes from the wing, that's when South Dakota State's been able to bring the double team. But that time, Telling-Husen, no reason to foul there. You got Gilbeck to pivot away from the basket. You've done your job now as the double teamer.
It's kind of a dangerous double. They leave Isaac Johnson out there alone when Telling-Husen comes to double. Works out this time, though. Jacks get it. Down a little shake and then fires a pass off the shoulder of Tevin King and out of bounds.
Western Illinois really gapping South Dakota State, kind of daring them now to shoot that pull-up jumper, and Dom just got overzealous there as he drove. For SDSU, it needs to start on this end too. I mean, they've been a pretty good defensive team this year, getting stops and getting runouts off of it. There hasn't been a lot in this one.
Kobe Webster floats in 2 more. Back to a 6-point Western Illinois lead.
It's almost like Western Illinois has kind of lulled South Dakota State asleep here. And see Brandon Key about to check in the game, and that might be the thing that could spark SDSU, because he can get the basketball moving up and down.
There's been no easy offense for the Jacks. David Jenkins is 1 for 9 now from the field. Webster lining up 3. Out to Gilbeck.
Webster, he's had a rough night shooting it, but he's had good looks. He's 2 of 9.
Ankrum wants to put it on the floor, get by Flatten.
Here's some transition. This is what SDSU needs more of.
Jenkins got by Duff, but Gilbeck there for the block.
That's a great job by Gilbeck, running the floor to protect the rim.
South Dakota State really had no follow either to pick up. Had Jenkins missed there. The next have matched their largest lead. Back to Gilbeck, was strong this time. Telling Houston comes away with a rebound. South Dakota State just stymied offensively though. Telling Houston for 3. And a whistle from way out at half court and a foul. Check it out. I think it was on Mike Dom when we come back. Tonight's Subway Fresh Take, Brad, and a fresh look at our keys to the game.
Well, Western Illinois has done a great job with the first key shot selection, because they've played through Brandon Gilbeck inside. He's 7 for 9 and has 14 points. SDSU has not played free and loose. They are shooting just 28%. That's 20% below what they usually do, and a big reason, because they're not shooting it well from the three-point line, and SDSU's got themselves in a really tight game.
All right, beg your pardon, before the break, that foul was called on Brandon Gilbeck. You see him get the hand up on the face of Mike Dom, so that is the 3rd foul now on Gilbeck. Jacks out of the timeout, try the lob to Telling-Husen. Isaac Johnson holds him off, and another missed shot by the Jackrabbits.
Golden opportunity there, and South Dakota State now 2 for their last 15 going back to the first half. This is starting to get into unprecedented territory for this Jackrabbit team.
Duff with the 3, and Western Illinois in the lead by 9.
Their largest lead of the game.
Brandon Key trying to pick up the pace a little bit, blocked again by Gilbeck, but a foul on Kobe Webster. Just his first.
I like the mentality of Keto, attack. He's got to be mindful, though, that Western Illinois has a 7-footer that's waiting to swat it at the rim. And SDSU just needs a spark here. And they're a team that can really score in bunches. It may not be much of a spark that's needed, but they need something to get them going here.
Second free throw coming for Brandon Key. Let's go to Jody Norstedt.
Guys, you mentioned it. David Jenkins just uncharacteristically struggling. 1 for 8 in this game, but keep in mind he had his two of his best shooting games against this Western Illinois team. He had 27 points, a team high in the first game, had 20 points and 6 boards in the second game. So just kind of a strange feeling. There's reason that he's still shooting, as he wants to get back into this game and have an impact. But right now it's not happening for David Jenkins Jr., the standout freshman.
All right, Jody, that is the truth. Just 1 bucket for Jenkins. Telling-Husen with some defense here. They're going to say he kicked it, though. And Western Illinois will keep it. Shot clock at 20. Leathernecks can go up by double digits here.
It's been a great second half for them. They've hit 5 of 8 shots.
Gilbeck kind of lost it on the way up. And a travel on Brandon Key. Kobe Webster came up, jumped in front. Key turns it over.
Brandon Key trying to get the fast break going. That's why he's in the game. A great job there by the freshman Webster, just sneaking in behind there to force that travel.
Dalen Ankrum now with a smaller defender, but a very good one in Tevin King on him.
I think South Dakota State going to try to go a little more physicality there. Plus King and Key both in the game right now. Key a much better matchup here on Webster.
Isaac Johnson for three.
That's not the shot that Western Illinois needs from Johnson. Still time on the shot clock. Even there, South Dakota State, Tom, doesn't turn that miss into any type of transition. This is a team in SDSU that loves to fly up and down the floor. When they get defensive stops, they get it and go, and they have shooters spotting up and they're hitting threes. And Mike Dom's the trailer and they're running ball screen action. None of that has happened here tonight.
Foul on Isaac Johnson. He goes out. Jalen Morgan in for Western. Short on the three by Dom. Morgan down with a rebound. And it is all kinds of bad vibes right now for South Dakota State.
Yeah, you got to find some way to shake this game up. And if you're Western Illinois, you're just trying to find a way to keep on track here because it's been great in the second half.
Ankrum rising up. Jax, again, not going to get transition here. Leatherneck's back.
Western Illinois, not a team that sends a lot to the old boards. They're content to get back, and worked well so far. Nice closeout by Gilbeck.
And then the block shot as well.
Look at the big fellow. 6'11".
Avoids the foul there as well. Gilbeck's got 3 fouls. Billy Wright's going to get him out of here now for another minute until we hit the 12 timeout. Charles Gavin in. Mike Dom, by the way, has not scored so far in the second half. Another missed shot by the Jacks. Tevin King on the glass again.
South Dakota State, not a team that relies on offensive rebounding very much, and a big reason why they shoot about 50%. But in a game where you're struggling to get buckets, they've got 10 of them now. This may be how they have to really approach this game in a night where the ball's just not going through the basket. And they get second chances, and now another one.
Key with a great look to Dom, and he was fouled from behind by Jalen Morgan. This was a great pass for Brandon Key.
It sure was. This mental mistake by the Leathernecks, though, before that, to not have Key blocked out.
Telling Hughes and out. Lane Severin comes in for South Dakota State. Mike Dom's first points of the second half. Key up on some body contact on Kobe Webster.
This is why he's in there in the full court pressure. To me, that looked like really good defense.
TJ Otzelberger.
You won't find a more poised coach on the sideline. And even in the tough call there, TJ Otzelberger kept his cool. And I think that's important in a game like this because his team needs to keep their cool as they're trying to make this comeback.
Webster probing on the miss. Dom with a rebound. That is 15 rebounds now for Dom.
Let's see if Dom can get going here now. Without Gilbeck in the game, they go to him in the low post. He's got a smaller player on him.
And they get a foul on Dalen Ankrum. 16 fouls now on Western Illinois.
SDSU still has only hit one of their last 9 shots here in this half. If they can get to the foul line, which you said, Western Illinois close now to putting them in the bonus.
Gavin in now to go against Dom. Dom goes right at him. 20 for Dom, and South Dakota State back within 3.
Western Illinois is going to have to think about getting Brandon Gilbeck back in this game.
Billy Wright does take a timeout here, just above the 12-minute mark. South Dakota State on a run. Mike Dom's got 20. Western Illinois in the lead by 3.
Men's and women's basketball tournament on Midcoast Sports Network is presented by Grand Falls Casino and Golf Resort, Vance Thompson Vision, and Vern Idy Motor Cars.
South Dakota State on a 6-0 run to get back within 3. Western Illinois will inbound right by their own bench. And they do get Brandon Gilbeck back into the game.
Even though we're close to the media break at the under 12, I think that was a good timeout by Billy Wright. It's a 6-0 run. He's trying to keep the crowd from really getting going here, and they've done a good job of that so far in this game.
Gilbeck out of a triple team up to Ankrum, swinging around to D'Lo Brewster. Step in 2 for Brewster. And the rebound down to Dom.
Success for SDSU because they finally were able to have Gilbeck give the basketball up.
Key with Gilbeck out on him. They
switched it.
Trying to get it to Dom. Backing in against Jalen Morgan. He throws it up. And the Jacks on an 8-0 run to get within a point.
That's a screen that Western Illinois cannot afford to switch.
Lane Severin out against Morgan. Again, they switch. Tevin King off onto Dalen Ankrum.
Trying to get Ankrum slowed down with some physicality, and that's worked.
Late shot clock, though, down to 5. Gilbeck turns into the double team, and Severin ties him up. It'll stay with Western Illinois, but the shot clock at 4. South Dakota State and Mike Dom on an 8-0 run to get within a point with 10:58 to play. State offensive machine, though, it has been severely slowed down so far here through 30 minutes. But on the season, South Dakota State 7th in the nation in scoring in Division I. In the top dozen teams in the country in three-pointers made. But they have been held to 42 here through 29 minutes. The number 8 seed Western Illinois. South Dakota State on an 8-0 run. Isaac Johnson stops that with a bucket, and Western had 4 seconds to get it done, and they did, with Johnson now with 11.
Yeah, that was a huge conversion with not a lot of time.
Brandon Key on the reverse for his first bucket.
When you just look at the last, say, 5 possessions for SDSU, much more free-flowing, getting some stuff like that in transition. That's who they are offensively, not a team that goes against a lot of set half-court D.
Jack's knocking away. Skylar Flatten going at it. He'll go up against Ankrum and lay it in. And the Jackrabbits get the lead. Tough shot by Kobe Webster.
Dom's been sensational in the D-glass. 14 defensive rebounds in this game.
And 17 total?
Yeah.
Brandon Key right down the pipe and in. South Dakota State has gone from down 9 to up 3.
Doing it, hitting their last 6 shots. In a game where they've struggled, that's been huge. Big answer.
Johnson throws it in, but I think this is after the bucket, they're going to get another foul on Gilbeck. And Billy Wright just got teed up because he is hot. Well, he counted the bucket for Johnson, and then after the play, a foul on Gilbeck, which will be his 4th.
Watch Gilbeck.
He was calling for that little shove in the back of Lane Severin, and that is touchy, and that set off Billy Wright.
Yeah, I think Billy Wright had a reason to be very upset there, especially when it's your now what has become your star player in this game and the player you've been playing through. I mean, it'd be one thing if that was a missed shot and then that push impacts the rebound, but it was a made shot, and that should just go without any sort of call, in my opinion, there.
Another peek, and there is.
I mean, that kind of stuff goes on a lot in a 40-minute basketball game, believe me. And a lot of times, you know, that's a call you don't have to make if it's a made bucket. And if it's a rebound and then that costs the team a chance to get a D-board, that's a different idea then.
So the big deal is that is 4 on Gilbeck. Dom can shoot the technicals.
SDSU, a team that makes you pay from the free throw line.
And it won't necessarily cost Western Illinois a possession. South Dakota State will have the ball, but South Dakota State in the lead by 3, and now Lane Severin will shoot a 1-and-1 after the foul on Gilbeck. Necessarily the strong suit for Lane Severin at the free throw line.
Well, it's not a bad turn of events for him to be there for Western Illinois.
So it cost Western just the 2 free throws by Dom. But South Dakota State in the lead now with 9 to play.
Maybe a little more energy on this end from SDSU.
Isaac Johnson got cut off. Leathernecks turn it over. Let's go to Jody Norstead. Jody.
Guys, I'm sure the fans at home can hear how loud this crowd has gotten over the last several minutes when the Jacks have been making this run. So I think that even led a little bit to Billy Wright's frustration. But his team, after that technical was called, all the guys looking at each other just saying, we need to calm down, get back to what we were doing when we were leading this game.
All right, thanks, Joe. Kevin King to Severin. Isaac Johnson brings it down.
You're Western Illinois. I think you still need to try to get Gilbeck touches. Even with those 4 fouls in there, they have been so good offensively when their big man's had the ball.
Duff blocked by Skylar Flatten, and another late whistle. The foul on Flatten will send Duff to the line for 2.
Flatten left his feet. I'm not sure. It didn't look like he got him much on the arm. Maybe a little bit of the body there.
Well, here's Duff. And if you remember the 8-1 game last year, Western Illinois was the 8 seed. South Dakota was the number 1 seed. Western Illinois took them to overtime. C.J. Duff made a 3 from the corner to send that game to overtime. And South Dakota eventually won it, but the 8 seed took the 1 seed into extra time last year, and Duff gets 1 out of 2 to make it a 2-point game.
That was a game a lot like this one's been tonight, where lower scoring, Western Illinois controlled pace. Last year, South Dakota played with some pressure on them. SDSU's kind of done the same tonight.
South Dakota State is going to have some free throw opportunities over the last 8 minutes. A 1-on-1 coming up for Tellinghausen.
That could be huge because SDSU is the best free throw shooting team in the Summit League. Nearly 80% as a team now. A lot of that is them getting the right guys there. And Lane Severin was there before, missed the front end. This is another big front end.
For Tellinghausen, and Skylar Flatten will pick up a foul. Going after the rebound. That's just 4 team fouls on the Jackrabbits. And 3 on Skylar Flatten.
SDSU, though, just 9 of 15 in this game now from the line. So leave it a few points out there already, which is a tight one that could make the difference.
Like Dom will get a break right before the 8-minute timeout. Ian Tyson comes in.
expect this is just a try to get Dom a defensive possession of a rest here without Gilbeck on the floor.
And you saw David Jenkinson on the South Dakota State bench. TJ Otzelberger has opted to go with Brandon Key, the junior. As Isaac Johnson, another rainbow jumper. 15 for Johnson. Cuts it back to a 1-point game. Same thing for Western Illinois. Kobe Webster, their great freshman, has been on the bench here much of the second half. Key trying to set it up for Flatten, some contact, and they will get a foul. South Dakota State at the line when we come back.
It's been a big-time comeback for the Jacks. Struggled out of the gate in the second half, but Mike Dom's got his team back in the lead in this one by hitting 6 of the last 7 shots. Is there enough in the SDSU arsenal to get the win?
Fan Cam this weekend brought to you by Avera Orthopedics. And South Dakota State, the fans in the stands saw the SDSU women winners this afternoon. Stuck around here for the men's game tonight. A lot of blue out there as the Jackrabbits were down by 9 here in the second half. Made a run to regain the lead. They've got it by 1 right now. Western Illinois band in the house tonight. And Skylar Flatten is at the line to shoot 2. And last foul was on Charles Gavin. His second for Western Illinois. And South Dakota State now in the double bonus. 2 shots here for Flatten. And the Jacks have missed 4 free throws here in the second half so far.
I think that's where you're just starting to see the pressure being the #1 seed starting to weigh on this team a little bit. Flatten, a 75% free throw shooter in league play, goes over.
Brandon Gilbeck back on with those 4 fouls for Western Illinois. Isaac Johnson's got 15 points, 11 rebounds to lead Western right now. 3 by Brewster will not go down. Dom with another rebound, 24 points and 18 rebounds for Mike Dom.
That 18 ties his career high for boards. He's been just fantastic, especially on the defensive end.
Brandon Key again slipping by, got right to the rim, kicks it out to Dom. He's got Ankrum on him this time. Slides by Gilbeck. Gilbeck blocked it anyway. And the shot clock at 11.
Western Illinois trying to protect Gilbeck with his 4 fouls so they don't put him on Dom. And then after Dom gets past Ankrum, he's still got to deal with the big fella who's coming over.
It's 4 block shots for Gilbeck. Mike Dom's 3, no good. Still a 1-point game.
SDSU's 3-point shooting has been very uncharacteristic. They're just 6 of 24 for a team that usually makes over 10 of them a game.
Bucket here can get Western Illinois back in the lead. Gilbeck out of a double team again to Brewster. Step back 3 by D'Lo Brewster, and Tevin King's got it.
Western hasn't had much more luck shooting it from 3 either.
No. Again, double team comes hard this time with Brewster. You just got to whip it out of there to Tellinghausen.
Gilbeck back on Dom now this possession.
Dom's going to line up the straightaway 3. And this is going to go the other way. A foul on Reed Tellinghausen. There's 5 team fouls on South Dakota State.
I think they might have gotten it the other way. It's on Brewster.
All right, I thought they were pointing the other way, but Brewster picks up his 4th instead.
SDSU's been more aggressive here going after Oglass, and you see there Brewster just pushing it in the back.
Tellinghausen got 1 out of 2 his last trip to the line.
SDSU needs to start capitalizing it. They're going to be at the line a lot here in the last few minutes of this game. Probably is going to decide the outcome or the margin, certainly, of how this thing ends up here down the stretch.
Saw the shooting numbers there for Reed, just 2 of 10 tonight. David Jenkins is 1 of 10. It's been a brutal shooting night for the Jackrabbits.
TJ Otzelberger's had to kind of leave Jenkins on the bench because of that. He's gone with Brandon Key in this game. Just a little more defensive pressure.
Ankrum had to use that size advantage against Tevin King, and he does again to cut it back to 1, and that is a dozen for Dalen Ankrum, right at his season average in summer league play.
Mike Dom needs to come over and be better help defender there. Dom's only got 1 foul at this point in the game. Make a play on it.
.26 now for Dom.
This matches SDSU's largest lead of the game, believe it or not.
Western Illinois led by 3 at halftime. Southern X built that into a 9-point lead, and that is a 2 for CJ Duff. He's got all of his 6 points here in the second half. Back to a 1-point game, under 5 to go. Key probing again, and Brandon Key will go to the line, and the foul is on Kobe Webster, his second.
Saw a little opportunity, went to the rim hard. Western Illinois has had a hard time containing the backup point guard for SDSU and his quickness.
Jack's just 7 of 13 at the line in the second half so far. Key missed a couple a moment ago. Five points for Brandon Key, junior out of Milwaukee. He's in his first season with South Dakota State, a junior college transfer this year. Got them both 6 points for Key. South Dakota State will take a timeout. Road to Sioux Falls brought to you by Seal Pros Incorporated. And a 55-mile drive from Brookings to the Premier Center here in Sioux Falls. And the Jackrabbits win their first outright title in the regular season this year in the Summit League by going 13-1.
They were fabulous on the offensive end, led the Summit League in scoring at 85 points a game. But I thought they got better as the year went on defensively as well. They really started holding teams down. And in a game like here tonight where they've really struggled to score, their defense is going to have to come up big here down the stretch, I think, if they're going to be able to try to pull this one out. Might be that and free throw shooting that'll see if this can get TJ Otzelberger's group over the hump, but it's been a chore here tonight.
Brandon Gilbeck picked up his 4th foul with over 9 minutes to go here in the second half. Stays out there, he's got 14 points. Johnson to Ankrum, slicing down on the baseline, and a foul on Tevin King. Will be his 3rd, and that's just the 15th foul on South Dakota State.
That's the good news for SDSU. They've played pretty good defense without fouling much this half. So Western Illinois still not on the foul line. This is where you get to the point of the game where coaches really start running a lot of sets for their guys. Bad shot there by Ankrum. And a crucial point, too.
Well, it would have tied it up. But it goes wandering for Ankrum, and South Dakota State with a 3-point lead. But still, if you're Western Illinois, you got to feel pretty good. Gives it up to Tellinghausen. Tevin King on the glass again, had it blocked. Trying to get it out of there, and it's out of bounds. It'll stay with South Dakota State. Isaac Johnson has to be ripped out of there.
Tevin King has 5 offensive rebounds in this game, and 11 of them overall from the point guard spot for SDSU. And a lot of it's just been him outworking guys on this end of the floor to get the O-glass. Those have been huge to give SDSU extra possessions.
Brandon Key slicing again. Key's had a big second half, big impact. 8 points. South Dakota State by 5.
Miscommunication that time by Western Illinois, and they got to keep their wits about them here. They've played a great game so far here, but you can't let it slide away here late if they're going to stay in this thing. This is big.
Webster can't get that down. Skylar Flatten rebound. And how about Brandon Key? I mean, this It's crazy how the season goes along. He was at a point where he wasn't even playing in half the games for the Jacks.
He started at point guard early, then didn't play, and now in this game tonight has been crucial.
Jacks get a lucky bounce off the shoe of Dalem Ankrum that time. Shot clock deep, Key for three. And a rebound, Isaac Johnson stays in a 5-point lead, 3 to play.
So he's dodged just enough bullets to keep this thing close, but they have really had a hard time now scoring lately on this end. Some of it's been shot selection, some of it just some real good stingy defense now by SDSU.
Kobe Webster has been very quiet offensively. Just 4 points. Here's Ankrum. And he kicked it out of bounds. South Dakota State will have it.
Mike Dahm has set a career high for rebounds, 18 of them. Those have been huge for the Jackrabbits. The big fella ripping it off the glass. The Jacks are up 5.
South Dakota State leading Western Illinois in our first men's quarterfinal matchup, 59-54, with 2:37 left to go in this ball game. But coming up after the game, we'll have stats and highlights. We'll take a look at our shot charts. We'll listen in on some of the press conferences, and we will also preview the upcoming nightcap game, Omaha going up against USD. And Bichon, we were talking about it a little bit off camera. South Dakota State not playing the type of basketball we're used to seeing them playing quite poor, to be honest. But they're still winning this game because of Western's missed opportunities.
Missed opportunities for Western, having a 9-point lead when South Dakota State went through that drought. But in addition to that, give credit to TJ Otzelberger going to the bench and finding a spark there with Brandon Key as David Jenkins Jr. is having an off night. And that's a big reason why South Dakota State has a 5-point lead.
Yeah, definitely other players stepping up. All right, we'll send it back down to Tom and Brad.
All right, thank you, guys. 20 seconds done on the shot clock here. Dahm steps out for 3. Mike Dahm with 29 points and 18 rebounds, and South Dakota State has its biggest lead of the night at 8 points. Billy Wright's going to get a timeout with just over 2 minutes to play.
And Mike Dahm has been the savior here. He's got almost half of South Dakota State's points, almost half of their rebounds. And that time the big fella Gilbeck just couldn't get out in time, and that's the matchup nightmare that Mike Dahm presents.
All right, coming up after this one here tonight, South Dakota, the 2 seed, taking on Omaha. And that is an 8:30 tip-off. After this ball game, we'll get you back up to Kelly and Brian. We'll get you to the post-game press conferences as well. And get you set for Omaha and South Dakota still to come tonight here in the opening round of the Summit League Championships. 2 minutes and 3 seconds to go here. Western Illinois led most of the first half. Leathernecks led by 3 at the half. Built a big 9-point second half lead. South Dakota State has come back and regained it. And Dalem Ankrum is going to the free throw line for Western.
There's been a couple of runs in this half that have really propelled South Dakota State. They had a 10-0 run where they erased that 9-point deficit, took a 1-point lead, and now they're on a 7-0. Does Western Illinois have any type of run left in them here? And that there, a crucial miss.
They've done just about everything they need to do. Ankrum has scored. Isaac Johnson has scored. Duff has had some points here in the second half. Brandon Gilbeck has played well. Defensively, they have shut South Dakota State down as far as shooting the basketball percentage-wise. 1 out of 2 for Ankrum.
One thing you could point to, just Western Illinois has not hit very many threes, just 3 of 13. If they'd have gotten a couple more of those, they'd be in a little better spot here, but they've really got to clamp down now here, and it's the Jacks now again on this possession content to run a little clock. Western switch again.
He could get it down. Dahm going on the tip. Isaac Johnson with the rebound. Johnson. 14 rebounds for Isaac Johnson as he throws up another one. It's good. That's a 2.
He's been huge in the second half as Johnson. He's got 17 points now.
17 and 14 for Johnson. It's still a 5-point game.
Western Illinois certainly not out of it yet. They can play this straight up still. All kinds of switching though going on for the Leathernecks, and they got CJ Duff right now and Dom.
They're gonna have time to get it to him, however. They're gonna have to get off a shot here. Flatten does. And the Leathernecks hold.
That was a missed opportunity by SDSU. They should have gotten Dom down in the low block and let him go to work.
Kobe Webster to make it a 2-point game.
You have to continue to execute, and SDSU almost kind of resting a little bit on their laurels there, trying to run clock, and then they've gotten very unaggressive of late.
You see Billy Wright just saying, play it straight, we got time here. As TJ Otzelberger takes the timeout. Here's Kobe Webster, very quiet to this point in the game offensively. It's the 3 to make it a 2-point game.
That was a big-time ball screen there, too, by Gilbeck, and Mike Dom didn't communicate it, didn't step up to show, and even though Webster's had a rough night shooting the basketball, he cashed in a big one there.
Men's championship with South Dakota State, the #1 seed. Fort Wayne and North Dakota State in the 4-5 on the same side as the Jackrabbits and the Leathernecks. And again, coming up tonight after this one, South Dakota taking on Omaha. And then you got Denver is the 3 seed this year, taking on Oral Roberts tomorrow on that side of the bracket. 29 seconds on the game clock, 20 on the shot clock for South Dakota State. And the Jacks with a 2-point lead, and they do not get it in here. They have to call another timeout.
Yeah, that's their last one. And the sideline is a tough place to inbound from. Your angles that you're throwing in at are a lot different than a baseline entry, and Western Illinois did a nice job. They're really taking the pass away to Brandon Key, and SDSU didn't know what to do next.
They saw Tellinghus and take a peek at Key going toward Western Illinois' basket, and he made a wise choice not to throw it there. But
yeah, the problem is Key is 5'10", and so you don't have a lot of height that you're throwing it to there. But
big credit to Billy Wright and his guys, though, tonight. South Dakota State thumped them twice during the regular season. Jacks won by 28 and by 20 in their regular season meetings.
Scored an average of 90 points in those 2 games. And Western Illinois has found a way to prevent that from happening, really slowing SDSU down tonight on the offensive end. Now here's the thing for Western Illinois. There's a 9-second differential, so they can play this thing straight up and still be okay and have time to get the basketball back potentially with a chance to maybe tie or even think about winning the game depending on what the spread might be. If you're SDSU, you got to be careful here about thinking you can stall, because you got to think that Western Illinois is going to bring some pressure here. So you got to be strong with it and look to attack. First opportunity you get here if you're the Jacks.
All right, same spot to inbound here for Tellinghus, and he cannot move off that spot. We do get it into Brandon Key.
I'd put a little more pressure on Key here if I was Western Illinois. Don't let him be comfortable up there.
Now right into the chest of Gilbeck. Kobe Webster comes from the backside, and they're going to get Webster on the foul with 13 seconds to go, and Mike Dom will shoot 2.
Now, it shouldn't have been any surprise who was going to get this basketball for SDSU, and good call there. Webster was all over Dom's arm. Now huge free throws here.
That is 30 again tonight for Mike Dom.
Yeah, there's no one you'd rather have at the line at this position, because he's 9 of 10 here so far tonight.
4-point South Dakota State lead, 13 seconds.
And you really got to hurry now if you're Western Illinois. Great job by Key.
The next can score and get a timeout if this goes in. Webster strong. Mike Dom with another rebound, and he is fouled with 1.6. And the superstar is going to help South Dakota State pull it out here. 31 points, 19 rebounds for Mike Dom.
A career high now on rebounds. And Tom, there hasn't been a lot of games where you've seen these kind of scoring numbers out of SDSU where Dom has a huge game and they really needed all of these points to win a game. And usually when he has his big games, they're cruising to wins. He's the only double-figure scorer tonight for SDSU.
33 for Dom. And South Dakota State survives Western Illinois 66-60.
Credit Mike Dom. He had to carry this team on his back, really on both ends of the floor. Scoring the basketball with 33, rebounding the basketball. He had 19 rebounds in this one. And it took everything that Dom had to get his team into the semifinals.
Jackrabbits in Monday evening at 6 p.m. in the first semifinal against either Fort Wayne or North Dakota State. Jackrabbits, two-time defending tournament champions, on to the semis in a grueling 6-point win.
It's never easy when you get to the Summit League tournament. I don't care what the regular seasons have done, and people have been talking all week about how, are the 1 and 2 seeds going to roll, and we saw tonight that isn't going to be the case.
All right, here's Mike Dom with Jody Norstedt.
Mike, 33 points, a career high 19 rebounds, but this one was one heck of a game. You guys had a battle back, had a 17-2 run there in the middle of it. What was it like trying to gut this thing out against a Western Illinois team?
First off, I'm just so proud of this team. The way we stuck together during this game shows our character and shows how well we just stick together. We always tell each other it's going to be the first games that's the hardest game for us. And mentally, coming out here, we got all the fans support, and it's amazing, but we kind of get the jitters a little bit, and I think our guys did a great job of calming down in the second half and getting it done.
You didn't give the crowd much to cheer about in the first half, but they were starting to roar there in the second half. What was it like looking around and seeing all the blue?
It's always amazing to play here. Our crowd support's unbelievable. Everyone comes down and support for this big event, and they definitely have a huge impact on the game.
All right, good luck the rest of the way, Mike.
Thank you.
Mike Dom, the big night, 33 points, 19 rebounds. As we're joined now by TJ Altenberger, head coach of this team. TJ, it was ugly, but you guys got the W.
Yeah, it's the time of the year where anything can happen, and I thought Coach Wright did an amazing job switching screens. They really took us out of our rhythm. We had to play off balance, but really proud of our guys, how they dialed in late defensively and getting the ball to the paint, and thought Brandon Key was phenomenal, gave us tremendous energy.
TJ, appreciate it. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks a lot, guys.
It's TJ Altenberger, head coach of the victorious Jackrabbits, 66-60 back.
All right, big night for Mike Dom. 33 points, 19 rebounds. And we'll be back with the other final numbers from this one. South Dakota State gets by Western Illinois 66-60.
MLS is back, and everybody.
One of their freshman stars was really good. 17 points and 15 rebounds for Johnson.
This kid's going to be a phenomenal player going forward for Western Illinois, and really came on in the second half of the year and played a big game on a big stage tonight. Almost was enough.
Dalen Ankrum was a force as well, making moves on Skylar Flatten all night, and Ankrum ends up with 13 points. They also get 14.7 rebounds out of Brandon Gilbeck.
Yeah, 2 great efforts there, and Ankrum was phenomenal on the defensive end too. He had 3 blocks, 2 steals, but this guy right here was the story.
Well, Mike Dom, 16 points at halftime, ends up with 33 points and a career high 19 rebounds.
And most of those D rebounds on the defensive end, and Mike Dom was just sensational. Scored inside and out, and had Western Illinois in foul trouble as well. Big reason why SDSU got to the foul line a lot.
And Brandon Key, their junior point guard, who has played limited minutes really most of this season, but he was a great spark in the second half. Key comes in, 8 points and 2 assists in 24 minutes.
And only had 1 turnover as well. That was gigantic for SDSU to get him with his energy and what it brought to the team in the second half.
Western Illinois was really good defensively. South Dakota State only shot at 33% overall. The Jacks just 25% on the 3-point shot. But they get the win, survive and advance.
Yeah, really this came down to SDSU getting some offensive glass. 14 offensive rebounds. and SDSU ended up just having 8 more shot attempts out of it, and SDSU also scoring, you see, those 17 points at the foul line. Those were really the differences, but like you said, Western Illinois did everything they needed to defensively other than maybe rebound the basketball.
And another guy that didn't get a lot of mention, though, Tevin King, 8 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 assists for Tevin King to go along with a huge night for Mike Dom. Jackrabbits win at 66-60 to get to the semifinals on Monday night. Omaha and South Dakota still to come here tonight in the opening round of the Summer League Championships at the Falls. Back up to Kelly Stewart and Brian Shawn when we come back to the Premier Center in Sioux Falls.